Hello and welcome back to Farming Simulator 22 and part 4 of how to use Courseplay. So just like the last episode, going to be combining Courseplay and Autodrive, but we're going to get onto some really good bits now, which is using both of them together and doing a harvest. So I've got two videos set in mind. They're going to be packed with pretty much a lot of information, so we probably should just crack on with it and get straight to it. So in this first one that we're going to be doing, we're going to be using field 16, which has got some wheat in it, needs harvesting. We've got a small harvester here, just the one, and we've also got an auger trailer over there, and waiting over here is the main trailer that's going to be carting basically from the silo to the field. So we're going to be storing it away, obviously, in the silo. We could take it to a sell point, but I'm just going to be doing it in the silo. And then after I've done that, we're going to be setting up a auger situation. So the auger is going to go into the field, unload from the harvester, bring it to the main cart trailer, which is this one, and then that's going to again bring it to the silo. That's the plan anyway. So again, you could adapt this to go straight to a sell point if that's what you'd rather do, or take it to your silo like I'm going to do. Again, it really doesn't matter on that final destination. So I've gone with a class dominator. Yep, the class dominator. Pretty vintage. You do see quite a lot of these in the UK, so I thought, why not? So the first thing we're going to have to do is set up a Autodrive course, pretty much, so we can have the carter waiting by the side of the field. Now, we're going to do this first, like I said, with just the carter. So we'll do that, and then I'll delete all the routes out, and we'll start again. Probably pause the harvester, because you can still use the same course, and then we'll move on to using the auger as well. So let's just quickly move this out of the way, because it is going to be in the way. Now, I have turned crop destruction off just for the video, but we'll just move it there. That should be fine. So what we need to do is jump into this. In fact, quickly, what I'm going to show you is just a few little added features that have been put in. We're on 0.26 now for Courseplay, so quickly I'm just going to point these out while I have the chance. So if you go into the active workers page, we've got like some current custom fields boundaries over here, as you can see. There is a new way of doing that now. So if you left click on the mouse like you just saw me do, you can draw a custom field boundary. So you can actually do it in the menu now. So let's say that we wanted to combine, I don't know, let's just say we wanted to combine field 22, 23, 21, 20. We've kind of somehow, I don't know, obviously you wouldn't because there is hedges that we can't kind of plow through, but let's say you could, and you wanted to create a new one big field. So what you do is, now that we've left clicked and we've created it and we've pressed draw custom field, we just need to right click. So you'll right click and then you'll see nothing, but if you right click again, you'll see that a line starts appearing, and then the same again. And what it'll do is just basically, with you controlling it, you'll be able to draw a boundary. Now obviously you want to be quite precise. I'm just going to fly through this just to show you that you can pretty much just do a crazy boundary, or obviously you want it to be precise, but there is the option. And then when you get to the end, I know that's a bit shoddy, let's be honest, that's a shoddy job, but it'll do. All you need to do is save custom field. Do you want to record it CP1? Yes, job done. And as you can see, it's now one big field. Now you can press it again to rename this time, so we could rename this to random. There you go, random. Now it's called random. Or you can just delete it like we're probably going to do, because I'm just showing you. Now another really cool feature, which I'll show you as we start making an Autodrive, is you can now see the Autodrive routes on your map. So if I was on my Calmsden playthrough, which I've set up a full Autodrive network, you could probably see the whole route, and it shows you the blue lines, the green lines, and so on. So it's really good to do, but you need to just press editing mode. So when you press editing mode, as you can see up here, I don't know why that's always there, but for some reason, every time I start on a new save game, there is an Autodrive route already done up to here. So I don't know what that was about. I've got a feeling Oxy was trying something out there. I do think so. I don't know why, but I've just got a feeling. But yeah, all you need to do is just click edit and it'll show you your routes. Then you can obviously press it again. So some small little details keep changing and adding in, which nice little things. I have checked as well on the discussions area, and it is something they're working on to make it so when you create a new job, you can actually choose a custom boundary. So that is in the works, but it's not quite there yet. So right now, I don't know if you've seen my survival series, the latest one, but I do show you that if you paint around the edge of the field, if you're struggling for it to recognise as you're generating your course, if you paint around the edge of the field, or just some texture, any texture, it will work then. It's a small fix for the meantime. Right, so what we're going to do now then is we just need to set up a Autodrive course. Now, because the tip trigger here is quite tricky to set up, I'm not going to be setting that up. I'm just going to load in my course from Coursplay. So we're going to load this one in. It'll save a lot of time as well. Now, as you can see, this is all set up, and if we go into here, I can show you exactly what I meant. So because I'm in editing mode, just quickly go out, you can see all the lines disappear, and now they're all here. So you can see that the green ones, I don't know if you can just make them out there, are one way, and the blue ones are two way, and you can see that the whole map is pretty much networked out, except for some of the field boundaries that I've not done yet. So we've got basically our tip trigger set up. So all we need to do is set up from this two waypoint here, a waypoint somewhere. So we can quite easily do that. But what I will quickly just do is show you what I've done. Now, this is pretty tricky the way I had to do it, because I wanted to reverse him from one direction. So even though he's going to come up this way, he's going to go over there, and he's going to turn. So I'm going to need to move them out, which is basically the next video. That is, we're going to be harvesting that field with 4 harvesters. But I will move them out of the way. And then what he's going to do, so he's going to drive up past here, go around that direction. So he's going to swing around, come back down, reverse in, and then back down to the field. That's what's going to happen. So depending on what map you're playing on, it might be easier for you because you're not reversing into a silo like this that's in a building. If you're using my Autodrive network, then this will all be set up for you anyway, and it has been tested by a few people, not just myself, and it seems to work spot on. So I am quite confident that if you use it with a medium-sized trailer, about this size, it should work. So let's just head down and go and actually set up this other waypoint. So I'm just going to drive down to the field, and we'll set up the waypoint. The best place that I've always thought to set up a waypoint called waypoint, I hope you understand there's 2 different things there. It's not waypoint twice, it's a waypoint we're going to set up called waypoint. And the reason I call it that is just because it's where this cart is going to wait. Now I always try and suggest if we look at the field here, we want to try and access all 4 corners of this field. The only thing I think that's probably going to be an issue, but luckily this isn't a collision unless there's a few trees, is this corner here. Now we could set it about here, but then we're going to have the same problem over here. So I think if we just set it here, you can directly get over there, over here, and around here. So it shouldn't be too bad. So this point that it's on now, if you can see the red line, is perfectly fine. So we're just going to call this, let's just back out a second, make sure we get the right field number. So we need field 16, and we're just going to call this F16. Wait, that'll do. Doesn't matter about the space. So now we've got that set up. Because it's two-way, we don't really need a turning point, but you could also put a turning point in, just in case he comes back on in a strange direction. So let's just quickly do that. Even though it's two-way, we shouldn't have that issue, but if you're doing it single way, I'd always recommend to set up a point where he's going to turn or swing it around. So let's just quickly do that. So from here, one-way direction, swing her around and connect it back up. There we go, that'll be fine. And then what we want to do is just do that, that'll be fine. So now if we tell it to, just so we know that it's working, we'll just tell it, because this is done now, we don't really need it to do anything else, but what we want to do is set this up for the harvester before we do the course. So we can already tell this now to go and sit at the waypoint, but we need to make sure we put it in the right mode. Now what we need is, where are you? Unload combine, that's what we need. So you've got 2 points here, you've got the target, pickup target, and the unload target. So the pickup target is obviously going to be field 16, wait, and then this one is going to be where we're taking it to. Now I haven't got folders actually on here, which is actually a good point. Now I can show you how to set up folders. So because I've loaded it in and the folders haven't been activated in here, we need to go to settings, and if we look for use folders, put that to yes and apply, we now should have the folders that I set up for you as default. So now if we look on here at arable farm, which is where we're going, and we want to put farm silo 1 empty, that's where we're emptying into, and then all we need to do now is pretty much just say go. But what we could do is just have a look at some of the settings. So if we look at the vehicle settings first, the cornering speed's down, which is good. I always recommend to do that. Pipe offset, I'd leave to default. Distance to the combine, I'd leave to default. This is when it's following at the rear, this one, and this is the offset from the pipe. So it basically tells you the distance away from the pipe. Now, it should be set sometimes perfectly, but other times you might have issues. If you want to increase the distance, which means that from the left-hand side of the pipe, because that's usually where the harvester has its pipe, on its left-hand side of the vehicle, it's going to travel a certain distance to the left-hand side of that. So it's going to be parallel with it, but obviously across more. So it's maybe snug into the trailer. So keep in mind that if you increase it, it's going to move more to the left. If you decrease it, it's going to be closer to the harvester. Unload fill level. This is the percentage that when the trailer gets to, it will directly go and deliver the products. Now, we don't need it to be at 85. We could literally wait for it to get to full. It really doesn't matter. 99%, I don't know why it has to be 99%. I'd pick 90%, it's fine, 95 is fine. Restrict the pathfinder to the field, I'd always recommend to do that, and this one. So we want it to park in the field as well. So what this basically means is when it's just picked up from the harvester, maybe it's the first time it's been there, it's filled itself up to 50%. It's not at that 95% that I've just set, so it's not going to go to the silo. It'll sit at that point and wait. I always prefer that because it's already in the field and it's easy for it to pathfind when the harvester within Courseplay then obviously brings the pipe out, which is the point where it's saying, right, this is the core point for you to come and collect again. So I always keep that to yes. Automatic refuel and repair, we don't have to worry about that. Tip side trailer covers, not an issue. Let's just have a look at this. I don't think we need to change anything in here, but we'll go through it. And this one, maximum detour, we'll leave to that. Look ahead distance, that's pretty fine. Depends if you want that. I'd always recommend to put collision detection on. So yeah, I'd recommend to have collision detection on. Pathfinding factor, I'd keep this to as it is. It does say here that determines how far pathfinding algorithm is allowed to search for a collision-free path to and from the combine. This should only be slightly increased in case where the fruit avoid on large fields with sufficient headland is not working. So what it's basically saying is only increase this if you're having trouble with it avoiding your crop. So with crop detection is on, let's say, and he's doing damage and he's not avoiding the crop, then increase it because it means that it's going to put more juice into that algorithm. It will put more demand on your PC because it's pathfinding using an algorithm, and it'll have more demand on your CPU. So I'm happy with that. I think that's all good. We'll just apply them settings, and then what we're going to do is press go. Now what he'll do is he'll go to field 16 waypoint and he'll wait. But obviously nothing's going to happen because there's no harvester doing any work, and we also need to set up the harvester itself within Autodrive and obviously within Courseplay, which is going to be our next thing. A good new little feature now within this is we can now clear a course off. So I'll show you how to do that, but you can do it within here. So you don't have to go into the other menu now to do it. Usually you'd have to go in here and press clear course. We haven't got one obviously loaded up right now. So we're in test. I'm going to save stuff into the test folder when we do that again as well. But this has got a little bit better as well. Changing courses, saving courses, loading courses. They have changed this. Just made it a tiny bit more streamlined. You probably won't notice it, but it has changed on after the update. Right, so I'm in the active workers page. We're just going to do the normal, create a job, Courseplay fieldwork. Now, field position is pretty good now. If you click it, you'll see a white boundary around the field. So it's telling you, that field boundary there is telling you you've just selected field 16, which is pretty good. I do like that. So then we're going to open the course generator. 17.4 feet. I imagine that that's right. I haven't checked it against the actual meters because I've got miles per hour set in my settings, which shows as feet. If you set it to kilometers an hour, it'll show as meters. Multiple tools. We aren't using any multiple tools. We're just using one. Number of headlands will go around probably twice. Let's say 3 times because it is a small header. We want to start work on the headlands, and we definitely want to make sure we go clockwise, so the pipe's on the left hand side, so it's easy for the trailer to access it. Now, the way that Courseplay works, though, is that let's say you're doing an up and down row, or even if you're doing an anti-clockwise headland, so your pipe's going to be on the inside of the field, not on the outside. If it detects that it's like that, for example, and it's stopped, what it'll do is it's maneuver itself out of the way. It's a bit weird, especially if you're doing straw, because you'll see a strange swath left, so it's a bit difficult to collect, but he will move out of the way unlike the worker, who will literally just sit there and wait for you to drive through the crop. He will move out the way, wait in a position where you don't drive over crop, which is pretty good. But I also recommend just to try and avoid that situation anyway by going clockwise. Sometimes it's not easy, especially if you're doing up and down rows, but there is something we can do to avoid that, which is called lands, which I'll show you in a second. And I have actually got it set up here. Now I am going to do a headland overlap a little bit more than the default, just because I do think that it misses less bits on the headland passes. So I've put it to around 12%. We want this to be lands. Now the best way for me to describe lands is, let's say, let's just look at field 14 here, for example. Probably not the best one to look at just because of the shape, but let's look at field 25. Let's say this is the harvester now, my mouse cursor, and it's gone round the field, done its headlands, and now, for example, it's going to start its up and down rows. Now, we're not going to be doing up and down rows like this, not even like the ones where we can skip a row and do this, where we're jumping in between, and then when he gets to the end, he's going to go back and get the ones he misses. Lands is basically where he'll go up, go to the middle, down again, back over here, take another row out, go over there, take another row out, go over there, take another row out. Now, the way he does this means that the pipe's always going to be on that left-hand side, so it is really useful to use, especially when you're harvesting. And it'll kind of just move across the field like that, if you get my drift. Hopefully I've described that well with the mouse cursor, but that is lands, and lands does work really well with harvesters. So we're going to try that. We're going to try and do it that way. Now this defaults to about 6 rows, I think it is. Now you can change that, it doesn't really matter, but try and keep it on it. I'd say an even number. It's probably better to keep it on an even number than an odd number. So keep it at 6. That is the default. It's not a problem. It means that there's going to be 6 lands, 6 lands, 6 lands. So they're chunks that it's going to keep going through. Now looking at field 16, what we're going for, 6 might be good enough. It might mean that there's a couple left. We'll see at the end, but I think that's fine for what we're doing. No bypass. Well, we don't know. We might be needing that depending on what's in the field, so I'll just put it on simple for now, but I think that's perfectly fine, so we can generate fieldwork course. So there you go. That's a lot of rows, let's be honest. That's because of the size of the header. It's obviously small, and that's quite a big field, so that is a lot of work for it. But if we just close it down, you can see that the harvester is going to be really at work with this field, and we're obviously not going to get a chance to see it all, but I am going to hopefully get a chance to show you quite a bit of it. With the lands as well, you can see that it is bypassing itself quite a bit, but in all honesty, it does make things better, especially if you're using multiple tools as well. So we're just going to stick at this. So this is done. Now if we wanted to save it, which I've shown you to do, I don't know if I ever showed you to create a folder, especially a new one, but we'll do another one. To create a folder, just go create a new folder. Let's call it test 2. Press OK. Click test 2 here, so it's highlighted. Save course. Activate, because we're already highlighted on. That's basically asking, are we sure? And then we're just going to call this harvest test 1. Job done. Doesn't really matter. Obviously you want to call it something, maybe the size of the header, just to distinguish it from another one, but that's now in there. So we can now clear this course off, which I think is a good chance for me to show you in here. So now in this menu here, we just highlight it there. There's like this little icon, it's a circle with a line through it. If you click that, the course will clear, and then what you can do is obviously go and load it up back again by going back in here, entering your folder, highlighting harvest test 1, load course. I always press activate, but I think it's already loaded in all fairness. So now if we go back to here, you can see that the course is done. It's all there, ready to go. So what we need to do is just head over to the start. Now I have got crop destruction off for this because I just thought it'd be easier for the video, and the waypoint down is down here. Let's just turn off Autodrive. We don't need that now to have the editing mode on. But this header is quite small, but the reason I picked these harvesters is because I wanted to do a multiple tool situation, and with the fields not being like huge, they are big, don't get me wrong, but they're not huge. I thought it'd be easy to have small harvesters so we can actually see it in action a bit more. Now we could have started this down there, but I'm just making its life a little bit easier by starting over here. So let's just go about here now, and when we're here we're going to just set up a few little settings before we start it. So obviously we need to go into the Courseplay menu. Now this is vehicle settings, that's global settings, so let's go into the vehicle ones for Courseplay. Show course start stop, that's fine, that's fine. Stop at end activated, I'm happy with that. Only turning on the field, we want that. Avoid the fruit activated, we want that. Allow reversing, we want that as well. Allow using the pathfinder in turns. I would have that activated personally, because that's saying that it enables using the pathfinder in turns, for example, to avoid obstacles and fruit. Follow tools at course end. We want to raise early and lower late. Turning circles I wouldn't change. Always unfold the pipe. Always unfold the pipe when combine is full and waiting for unloader. I keep that as activated. The reason for that, when the pipe's open, that's the trigger for the Autodrive carter to be called. So if the pipe's not open, he won't be called. That's how I've always seen it with Courseplay, and the same with Autodrive. It only ever calls when the pipe's out. So make sure that's activated. Stop while unloading. I'd also recommend to have this activated just because it makes Pathfinder a lot easier. So when he's unloading into the carter, he'll stop. He'll also stop and wait as well. Now you can have this one activated or not. It doesn't really matter. It just basically, what it says, unload on the first headland. If you want to unload on the first headland, could be a good idea. We're just going to keep it like this. Now, straw swath, depends if you want straw. This is how you activate it or not. We're going to keep it as activated. We only need to worry about that later on when we're using convoys, which is multiple tools. For the rest of that, I'm pretty happy with. So now we need to go to global settings and just see if there's anything on here. I think everything is fine. So we're just going to save that. And now we're set up. We're pretty much set up. There's one last thing we need to do. And if you don't do this, it won't work at all. And all we need to do is in here, it can be on drive mode. I always keep it to drive mode here. Just select the same location or the same waypoint that the carter is waiting at. Because if you don't, they can't link together. And it's telling you that here by saying no driver with the same target available. So what we want to do is go to this default and field 16 wait. We could obviously put that in the right folder. If you didn't know how to do that, if you're in this mode now, it won't work. But if you go to editing mode and then hold down and drag it now, you can put it into a folder. But you have to be in editing mode to do that. So if you go to fields now, you'll see that field 16 wait is there, and that's the one that we want. So now that this is done, all done, sorted, we can close that down. And then all we need to do is make sure we put first waypoint on this, so it starts from that, and then press go. Now what you should find is you'll get to the first waypoint and you'll start harvesting it. And the autoload driver will completely just sit there patiently waiting until he gets to a certain volume, which is something that I should have just showed you, so I'll quickly just do. Which is, there is a setting within Autodrive. If you go to settings, this one, combine unload settings. So yeah, I missed that one out, but basically this is the pre-call level. Active unloading, yes. Unload harvesters while driving. We want that to be, well, you can set it to default because the harvester's going to stop anyway, so you can leave that to yes. And then basically the pre-call level 60. If he gets to a certain point though, I think usually what happens is he'll get full and he'll stop, and then the harvester and then the carter, sorry, will come and unload him. But we'll see how it gets on. We could change that, we could make it higher, but I'm not really too fussed about that. So we'll leave that as that. And then what I'm going to quickly do is we're going to get up and fly around. There we go. Obviously keeping an eye on his volume. We don't want him to get, we don't want to miss when he gets to the point where he's getting full. So let me just show you the turning angle now on a smooth corner. So that's the smooth, and he's still missed a bit, but hopefully when he does the next one he won't miss as much. And you can see if we go up here, there'll be a driver still in here waiting for the harvester. But these are now going to work in tandem together. So he's opened the pipe because he thought he was there, which might give this driver an actual pre-call, but we'll see, because he did close it back down. And with him still driving as well, it'll be difficult for him to pathfind anyway, and he is going at quite a good speed, I have to say. So I'll wait until he's about to pull up, and then I'll cut back in, just because I think I've been talking for 35 minutes already, and I did want to do the Auger as well. So what I have just noticed is he brought out the pipe because he got above the 60%. So we can actually up that now, and he is at 94, and he is just about to stop, as you can see. But we can up this. Let's just up this to 90% because it really doesn't matter. So he's backing. He is backing away because he's hit 95%. and what you'll find is he will stop and then bring out the pipe. Just jump out quickly. There we go. So you see how Courseplay then basically decided that there wasn't enough room on this side for the carter to come by. So he's reversed, gone over here and waiting. He's now going to wait. Now, while he's waiting, the carter is pathfinding. And shortly, we'll probably see him in the distance. Maybe, can't think whereabouts he's going to be. Right, so I've just found him. He's on his way now. Obviously, he doesn't sense that these are collisions because they're not. If you had a field boundary with hedges or fences that are collisions, then he would just try and avoid them. But he can, in his eyes, he doesn't know that that's a hedge. He's going to drive through it. Now, when he's actually in the field, so in a second he'll stop in the field, it will make things a lot easier because of the fact that he's already in the field and it's going to be easier for him to pathfind. Just got under the harvest. I have to say that's pretty good. Near enough bang on in the middle. So it's just completely emptied the harvester. But what I do like as well, that he drives back. He'll drive back and stop. And the reason he does that is to give him room to get back onto his course, which he's just done. So now this will park up there and wait for the call again. He's obviously not got to that call level that we said was about 95%, I think, or was it 99? I can't remember what we picked now. But when he gets to that volume in there, where he's pretty much full and he's only at 27%, he will then go and do the course to the silo and drop off and come back again to the wait position. By that time, this harvester will probably be waiting for him. This is why sometimes it is good to have an auger or even multiple carters, and you can do that. So what I'll do now is, because I've got to move some stuff over there, so when he swings around, I'll do that, and I'll cut back in when he gets to the point of taking it up, and we'll have a quick look, and then I'll set up the auger route for this field as well. Right, so welcome back. He is on his way. He's at 100%. He went back to the field 16 waypoint, and now he's going to go and take this load to the silo. And then if he does that, all he'll then do is just keep looping through as the harvester goes around the field. But I have stopped the harvester because obviously we're going to be moving over to, if I get to the right vehicle, there we go. Yeah, we're going to be moving over to doing this with an auger. But it is quite straightforward to do. I mean, the other thing keeping to mind is I've already got an Autodrive network set up, so you do need to just record the route from the silo to the waypoint. You obviously need to go through the trigger, which I'll show you in a second what he does when he tips into the silo. Make sure that you've got that set up. Always put the waypoint a little bit ahead of where the trigger is, just because the trailer obviously tips from the back, so you want to try to be ahead anyway. In the front of the tractor is where that waypoint is going to first get to and stop. But then after that, it is about just setting that waypoint in the field for him to keep going back and forth from to collect from the harvester, and then he'll go back there again when he's full, so he can follow the route that you've done to get into his location where he's either tipping it from or selling it to. Now what I have done as well for the auger is I've bought a much bigger harvester, so I've set up the course for that exact same as I did for this, but obviously with the bigger harvester. And then I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to have them two working together as well. But let's just follow him on this last little bit as he drops off. So he's going to swing it around. Should be fun using 4 harvesters and 2 augers and 1 carter. And the good thing about it hasn't got to go far to get to the silo. So this is taking a lot longer, you know, than what I anticipated. But there is so much to it that I didn't want to miss bits out, because you've got to keep in mind as well that it's about having an Autodrive network, it's about having these triggers set up properly, it's about putting the waypoints in, it's about setting up the harvesters within Courseplay and Autodrive, and the same for the carter. So I'd rather get it right, and if the video is a little bit longer, then miss bits out. But hopefully you're enjoying the video so far. So he'll back in, because I know I set this up pretty good. It was bang on in the middle by the end. And there you go. So he tips, and then off he goes back to the field. So what I'll do now is, because he's just going to drive off as soon as he's empty, I'll wait till he starts driving off so you can see that. But what I will do is I'll just jump over to the harvester, get that positioned ready to go, and then I'll show you exactly what it is we need to do with this and also with the auger. The auger's pretty straightforward because we've already set up the course it's going to use, which is the wait point that this has been waiting at. But then after, we need to make sure that it then knows where to go to tip into this. So we'll let him head up to that waypoint, and then when he's there, I'll set everything up and we'll show you exactly what we need to do. So welcome back to the field. The harvester is set in position, ready to go. I haven't activated him yet. Now the way that I recommend doing this is working backwards. So we need to start off with the carter. The job for him is going to be to take from the auger to the silo, and then we're going to set up the auger, which is the job from the harvester to the carter. And then when that's done, we can obviously set the harvester going and make sure that's set up. Now I'm not going to go into the details of all the settings again because they're pretty much identical. The only thing we're going to change at some point is when we're using multiple tools. But the only thing you need to do is just make sure you've got these set up on the right locations. And there's only one that now I need to record because I've already done one over there. So let's crack on with this. I'm just going to record this course first. This is the only one that I need to do because luckily we've already got the one for the Auger set up. So we need to bring up Autodrive. We're in the editing mode. I'm at this point, which is pretty fine. We're going to do a single route here, and the way that I've decided is if I just move over to the left here and make this the point where he waits. Oh, I think that's fine there. So let's just bring this up, and we'll call this, just for the purpose of this video, just call it trailer wait. And then we need to just make sure that he loops back on so we can head to the silo. So that should do perfectly. So let's just stop that. And then we need to go there. Now, when we're setting this up, we don't need to set it up anymore to unload combine. What we need to do is set it up so he is pick up and deliver. Now we need to move that because that was a little bit off, and that's probably about right there. So let's just set this up properly. We need to go to pick up and deliver, and we want it to pick up from trailer wait, which will be in default, and we need to take it to the farm silo 1, and we're doing wheat still. So if we just press go, he should drive there now on his own and wait. Now again, you can change the settings so it's like 95%. When he's at that point, he'll go off to the silo. You can again just adjust that to what you probably think's best, depending on what you're in. If you've got like 2 augers, you can obviously wait for 100% because it's not going to take too long. But if you've only got the one, maybe you could put it down to 60%. But that's all set and done. Now, if you were starting off from scratch, you'd obviously do the whole drive to the silo with the trailer wait one over there. Now, the same for this. If you were starting this off from scratch, you'd need to do the same as we did for the trailer in the first harvest that we just done with the smaller class Dominator. Now, we need to just make sure that we record a pretty good course here. So, smooth turns. So what happens is he goes nice and precise by the carter. Now we could use that there, but the front of the tractor is going to be at that point, remember. So if we just try it maybe about here, let's just see what this is like. So what we're going to call this now is just call it trailer unload. There we go. Now I might have to adjust that. Just depends how he lines up, but we just need to make sure we record it back now onto the 2-way path. It should be pretty easy to do because there's quite enough space here. And that should be fine there. Where's the point? There we go. That one. Put that there, like that. Now the course is all set up. So we can close the pipe off. So all we need to do now with him is set him to start. So we need to make sure it's on unload combine, just like the trailer was originally. Its wait point for the harvester is going to be field 16, just like the one before was. But this time, instead of having this to, I think we had it at the silo because we were taking it there. We're not going to be taking it to the silo. We're going to be taking it to trailer unload. Not trailer wait, the trailer unload. And then all we need to do is set him going. We can check some of the Autodrive features if you wanted to. Probably vehicle settings, 85%, I'm happy with that. Field exit, default, restrict pathfinder to field, yes. This is down, because it's an Auger, we can take it at 50%, I think. So if we just apply that, now he's all set to go. That's pretty much spot on. Now the only thing that's waiting for us now is the harvester. So if you just jump to the harvester that I've purchased, the bigger one, that I've set up ready to go, we need to make sure that this, again, is set to the same point as what the unload combine Auger is now set up to. So we need to go to fields and F16 wait, and there we go. So if we set this going, this should work a treat. So there's only one way to find out, which is to bring Courseplay back up. We've got the course set up, first waypoint. I've set him to doing lands and up and downs first, so because I've already done the headlands with the other one, I thought it only made sense to do this. So now we're all set up. So what's going to happen is the harvester's going to obviously harvest. When he gets to a certain point, he's going to stop. The Auger at that point is going to come to the harvester, unload from him. He's then either going to sit and wait at that point if he's less than 60%, I think I set it to. If he's more than that, he's going to take it all the way over to the trailer over there to unload. If then the trailer is at, I think it was 95%, he's going to then take it to the silo and go back to that point. And this is just going to be a cycle that keeps going on and on until the field's finished. But there's only one way to find out, which is to wait to see what happens. So I'll wait till the harvester gets to a point where he's obviously telling the Auger to come out to him. We'll have a look at how much the Auger holds, if it goes and drops off to the trailer, and we'll make sure we see at least all of it once. So we'll see the harvester unload to the Auger unload to the trailer, and the trailer eventually to unload to the silo. Right, so welcome back. He's obviously got to the point where he's doing his land and he's like in the middle. You can see that it says there, which I think is pretty useful, is on here it says it was chasing combine side left, because we set it to stop when he's unloading. Even though he wasn't at that 95% where he did just stop and wait, this knew to, when he brought the pipe out at 60%, to try and pathfind, and then eventually he then got underneath the harvester, and the harvester's now carrying on. And he's at 3,000, which is a lot less, which gives us a good indication that 22%, when this thing's full, that's definitely going to be full, which does mean that this is going to get quite a lot of usage. So we'll just keep waiting. He's waiting for the call again. It does give you quite a lot of information in here, so if you do check on your Auger or even the trailer that's carting to the silo or the sell point, it will tell you what's going on. If you've just got the one trailer in the field, or you've got this kind of situation where you've got Augers doing some work as well. It is interesting, and it's definitely clever the way this works. And so far this has worked pretty well for me. The only thing I'd say I've seen is it's not obviously sensed that these hedges are collisions, so sometimes it's gone over into here just to avoid the trees, so it's gone through around then come back on. If you had fences, that wouldn't happen, but also now that it's in the field, it's a lot less likely to happen. And you can see that the land feature over here, he's driving down to the edge and then going back up again and then doing this, and he's just going to keep doing that, and then when this land's done, he'll move over to the next one, and so on and so on. So let's just cut back in now and watch what happens. So the harvest is obviously at 60%. It's given that pre-call to the Auger. The Auger's now, it says, catching up. It's planning path 1 out of 4. Let me just move the camera. Probably make more sense so you can see it better. I can't do that. There we go. Bring Autodrive back up. So he's trying to catch up with the combine. Now, this is why I always recommend it's better when it stops. We could probably adjust the pre-call level on the harvester. We really could. Let me just get the harvester. It always go the wrong way around, but we'll get there eventually. So we need this, let's just say 90%. because at that point he's going to stop and wait by the time it gets to him. And then when he's sitting there waiting, you're not going to have the issue with the pathfinding. Even though, look at him, he is pretty much spot on. He's stalked him right in a good position there. He's bang on to where that pipe's going to come out. Am I the right way? Yeah, I am. And you can see that he's catching up with the combine again. He is flooring it. He really is. 30 miles an hour. Go on. But when it gets to 90%, that's when it's going to be the real call for him. The combine's obviously turning, and it notices that. He saw the pathfinding then, put a bit of lag on my system. So he knows that the combine's turning, but also the combine's just brought the pipe out, which is interesting. So what should happen now is I imagine that after this combine's turned, which is what it's saying, waiting for the combine to turn, he'll then register that he probably needs to catch up again with him because of the fact that he brought the pipe out, which again is going to trigger a pathfind. He's done it again as well. So now, as you see, it's changing to chasing combine. So we're probably going to see in a second pathfinding. So he's making the turn. Depends which way he's going to go now. Harvester's stopped. And he says he's catching the side rear. So it has done that really well there, how it pathfinded. It was quite close to the harvester, but it really did just pathfind it perfectly. And as you can see now, it's probably spot on. And the harvester should stay and wait and unload into the auger, because that's what we activated. Now I imagine that this is going to get full pretty quick, because it doesn't hold anywhere near what the harvester... Well, it probably holds just a bit less. It's not too bad, but it's definitely filling up above the point where we want him to go and unload, which I think I set to about 60%. So I imagine that we're going to be close here. Maybe 80, 85. So, oh, 87. So not too bad. So we'll just wait for him to move on. Now what will happen is, this will now go back to that waypoint, the wait point, field 16 waypoint, and then he'll go and obviously take this to the trailer, which then needs to be at a certain volume for it to go and take it to the silo. And again, that'll just keep looping the way it does. Now I'd be interested to see how this works out, because of the fact that it can be tricky, because of you setting up that waypoint and it's past where the front of the tractor is already going to be. So let's just watch him and see how he works this out, because as soon as he gets to here, this is fine. It's bringing that pipe out and then taking it into the trailer. It needs to be, it's not something that Courseplay is going to do or drive. It's something that you need to manually record, and then he follows on. So it might take a few adjustments. You might have got it spot on the first time. Let's hope that we have. Probably should turn down maybe the corner speed a little bit on that, just because this auger seems to, back end, it flies about, doesn't it? So the pipe's come out. It's slowed down, which is a good sign. It means it's noticed what it's doing. And this, to me, looks spot on. Now it's obviously noticed that there's a tip point for it. So yes, it doesn't look very good because it's not going in, but it is going in at the same time. It's not going on the floor. And then what will happen is this will carry on driving, and then when this gets to, let's just confirm what I set this to. I think this is already set to 95. Now we can just drop that. Let's just drop that to 50, just because it's going to take quite a while for this to get to that. Then again, it's not. We're at 35% already. So as you can see, it does work pretty well. This is still early development, but they've got it spot on. It does help that obviously they had this down to a T in FS19. Now obviously he's at 59%, so he's going to go to the silo. That auger's going to go and back to the wait point. So what I'll do is I'll try and get up in the air. You can see them both go, if we can see the carter through the trees. He's going to go to his wait point again, wait for the call from the harvester, he'll keep doing this, which is the good thing about having an auger, because he's now going to still be able to unload the harvester while he goes and carts off down to the farm. It really is pretty sweet. I mean, and if you like taking montages, this is the way to do it. It really is. But what I am planning on doing with the montage is when we set up the 4 harvesters, I've got 2 augers as well, and we'll split the harvesters between the 2 augers. So one auger will be emptying from 2 harvesters and then one with the other 2. So now if we have a look, you can see he's on his way. If you can just make him out in the distance. Let's go the right way. There we go. So hopefully this is showing you what you need to do. I mean, yes, I've used an Autodrive course that's already been established on this map by me. But it is pretty straightforward. If you've watched my Autodrive series, you know how to set up routes. You just basically need to set up a route from the silo to the field. That could be either the wait point for the harvester to unload from, or it could be the wait point for the auger to unload into. But then if you're doing that, you then need to set one up, a route for the auger to obviously unload from the harvester. And you basically, it's just like a chain that you're working out. You're trying to get it to the final point of it is to take it obviously to the silo from the field. But having the auger just makes things a little better. So I'll let him do his turn. I'll just explain to you over here a little bit about the equipment. So we've got a full-on class setup here. Same 2 augers. This auger is going to be, let's say, for these 2 harvesters, this one for them 2, and then this main trailer here is going to be where the augers unload into, and then that's going to take it to the silo. And we're going to be doing the oats in field 1, which is going to be interesting because it has got that middle bit as well. So that is definitely going to be some interest just to see how it gets on. So this is just going to do its thing. It's going to reverse now. We just watch for a second. There we go. So that's that done. So he'll just keep doing his job to and from the field, and then this will keep waiting, taking from the harvester to the trailer, and that's how it's done. So hopefully you can see that this is a really good feature to learn to use, especially when you're combining Autodrive and Courseplay together. The things you can do, I mean, you could be harvesting it in one field whilst this is all going on in another, and at the same time you're doing 2 really big fields, and it's really good for maps that have got big fields like the American maps and stuff that do have augers on. Again, Calmson's pretty good for it as well because it's got good sized fields, but like I said, we can take it to the next level, and in the next video I'm going to be doing that on that big field over there, field 1, and I'm also going to try and make a really good montage out of it. So hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully you found it informative. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up. Also, if you've got any comments or questions, put it in the comments section. If there's anything you think I've missed or you'd like to know, yeah, put it in there and I'll try my very best to answer them. But also remember that in the next episode, like I said, we'll be going over it again, but in bigger details with using multiple tools, because that's the only thing now we're missing from the Courseplay series. But on that note, I am going to leave the video there. So thanks for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. If you have, please give it a thumbs up because that really does help my channel out. And if you're new, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos just like this one on Farming Simulator.